is there any way for you to put into words or properly describe some of the odors you've encountered in some homes, and have you ever become ill on the job due to the smell?
I think I've never asked the Hoarders production company or A&E why I tend to be put on the most difficult jobs. I do think it's because I'm pretty tough and I'm pretty fearless. If you saw where I was right now, you wouldn't believe it. I can't talk about it, obviously, because it hasn't been aired, but it's going to be indescribable when you see it on TV. And I walked right in. I didn't think twice about it because this is my job. In terms of the smells, there's been some pretty darn strong smells that literally, when you breathe it in, it gets stuck in your throat. This actually happened to me last night where it took a lot to kind of get that taste out of my mouth. We're smelling ammonia, strong smells of ammonia from the feces. You've got strong smells of mold. Just even the dirt and the dust, of course, which all of these smells get worse once we start digging the stuff up because it's being, agitated, if you will. But it's always kind of a combination of those, the ammonia, the mold, the dust, the dirt, and you just throw it into a blender, and it's just one complete, overwhelm, if you will.
And I just find it amazing. Like, so the people living in these houses, I mean, they eventually become immune to it? Like, they don't smell it?
Yeah. In fact, I'm sure you've seen me on many occasions call people out on the smell and say, gosh, I just walked in. This has got to be one of the most overwhelming smells I've ever, experienced. And then they just look at me really puzzled. And, it's like if you weren't a pet owner and you walked into a house where somebody's got lots of pets, you notice it right away. If you're not a smoker and you walk into a smoker's house, you notice it, but they don't notice it because they get desensitized to it. They acquire to it over time, and that's my theory why they don't notice it. And every once in a while they'll say, yeah, it is pretty bad, but I got to tell you, it's probably not even 1 out of 10 that I hear that from.
Oh. Now, have you ever encountered a hoarding situation that was so bad that you felt it was beyond repair?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, some of those have been aired, and certainly you've seen some of the ones that my colleagues have worked on where, I think at the end they've even said that the house was bulldozed afterwards. And those are typically the houses where there's been, extreme situations where there's been buildup of feces, there's been, water pipes that have been broken, where it's gone into the boards, the walls, everything, and they haven't been replaced, and then it just starts, growing the mold and the mildew, and just starts, damaging everything. There's been a few of them, and it's really tragic because, it's the point at which they're finally ready to get help, and then they find out that really either their house isn't salvageable, or even more tragic, their house might be salvageable, but the cost is prohibitive for them, so therefore they're not able to pay for it, and so oftentimes they will lose the houses.
Okay, so there have been quite a few episodes where people have been living without electricity or running water, for quite some time. I mean, how do these people, if they have no electricity to cook, and, also not to get too graphic, but how do these people go to the bathroom or even shower, for that matter, if they don't have running water?
Frank, it's amazing what people do when survival instincts kick in. And I get how the viewers look at this and they say, why are you so patient with them? Why are you so understanding with them? And it's because I get that this condition has gotten to such a degree that they're just doing anything to survive. And that includes doing things like, running power cords, from the other house to have any kind of electricity, or literally, the water has been shut off, and so they start, urinating and defecating in bags. They just find a way to make it work. Now, I'm going to say that sort of carefully because it really isn't working in a healthy kind of way, but it's working in a survival kind of way. I mean, we've gone into homes where people are urinating in jars, and once the jar is full, they take it out, pour it outside, bring it back in. They're defecating in plastic bags, same thing, take them out, get a new bag and so forth. And it's really, I have to say, it's even though, as a doctor and a professional, I have to be, non-judgmental, and I feel like I am for the most part, but I think where it becomes really painful for me is to see human beings living in that, because I think that all of us have a right to live respectfully.
Does each house featured on the show get a specific amount of time to get cleaned up, or does the time frame vary by job size?
For the most part, more times than not, everybody has 3 days of help there. For instance, typically the first day, again, as you've seen, is us getting there, kind of walking through and that sort of thing, and then we kind of get working. And ultimately, a lot of people say, gosh, why do you guys think that in 3 days you're going to clean up their house? And this is where I kind of take sensitivity, is because no one is trying to imply that the Hoarders show is a cleanup show. It's not. Hoarders, as a show, which means how it's been created, absolutely recognizes that cleanup is not what the treatment is. They understand it's a mental health condition, which is why you see a doctor on the show helping the person by educating them, helping them understand how they got to that point, helping them work through their anxiety and their emotions and so forth. The second piece is you see the organizers or, extreme cleanup crews who are in there to try to do as much as they can to get that process started. I was just on a shoot where we never made it into the house. Never made it into the house. We did what we could, but that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to get this guy, the ball rolling, things in motion, so that he could see then what he needed to do to continue that process. So, again, just really stressing that while you do see many shows where, we can, shake hands and say you did it, your house is great, and so forth. In other houses, it's just not like that. Now, again, in a perfect world, the client that we're working with, the hoarder, goes along with the process. And as you've seen, that doesn't always happen. And so that can be a really big barrier for us to do as much work as we can with the time that we have. That can be a real barrier for us.